Thank you. You may please have your seats. Good morning and welcome to Life and Leadership Coaching. I'm J.K. Lebiyo. Last Sunday we dealt with a way to grow our knowledge. Growing our knowledge. And I remember using the example of speaking in public. There is no way you can grow in life and in management without ability to communicate in the public. And the more you imbibe the knowledge to communicate in the public, the better. You can't lead. You can't advance in life except you know how to communicate. And I gave us example how to develop this ability, that if you have people around you, if you have a family, that is what we call captive audience. The audience under your control. As long as you have somebody to speak to, you have a wife, you have husband, you have somebody around you. You can ask the person to sit for 30 minutes, and every day you have something to present to the person. And you assume that you are speaking to a whole lot of people. If you make a practice of this every day, you will be able to imbibe the tactics of communication. There's no way you can lead people. There's no way you can show leadership quality except you know how to share your ideas with other people in the public. Now, don't ever think you ridicule yourself when you come out to speak and you become nervous. It has happened to everybody. Everybody had felt like, urinating in the public while speaking because of what we call stage fright. You feel belittled, you feel you are not equipped enough. I gave you an instance that when I first started to speak, I thought the mic has inbuilt mechanism to correct your mistake. But I discovered that it was what I was putting in that was coming out. You will feel you are not able. So you have to fight it and be determined. People who succeed in life make sacrifices. You can't succeed except you are determined. You are sacrificial. You bear a lot of pains and stress, embarrassment. The more you build your ability to communicate, the more you'll be able to persuade and lead other people. And you remember we talked about leadership being ability to, how do we call it? Influence somebody to act or to do. And everybody's a leader. The more you have that ability, the more you have following. The more you have people following you. The less that ability, the less the crowd behind you. In the house, you must be able to influence even your family members. That determines the level of your leadership ability. So when we talk about leadership, everybody is a leader. Nobody's given at birth special abilities. You develop it. You develop your abilities. And that is what we're trying to do. And I always refer to Jeremiah chapter 6 verse 16, where the Bible says you have to follow the old ways. You have to stand and follow the old ways. Jeremiah 6:16. There is nothing that you're going to do that has not been done before. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Are you with me? So we have to take this seriously. And the way you know that you are building yourself up is how responsive you are to what has been taught or shared. If you take them as if you've had and you're not going to take action, you can't succeed. But if you take painstaking steps to apply the principles, then you're on your way to making a difference in life. Because when we share things like this, because they are free, some people will take them, just at the level of hearing, not applying. But application is what brings results. So if you have not been applying these principles painstakingly, I tell you, this is how you will live for the rest of your life. There won't be any change. But I'm sure there will be 1, 2, 3 people who are applying these principles. They are proven principles. When you apply these principles, nature will cooperate with you, because they are proven principles of success in life. I pray that the Lord will help us as we apply the principles in Jesus' name. Today we'll be looking at what I call the law of effective communication. The laws of effective communication. Communication is very, very important in every stratum of life, every aspect of life. You must know how to communicate. Let me share with you a personal experience. You know my story of being in the secular and being moved from the major plant to the minor plant, from Lagos to Kano in Nigeria, with the intention that where I was being posted to would be shut down because the company was not doing well. But as God will have it, things turned around and I was moved to Lagos, given double promotion, and eventually became executive director in that organization. Now, grace helped me, but it was not grace alone. After the whole transformation in the north, in Kano, a section of the audit department was sent to the north, to Kano plant, to find out what made the transformation possible so that they will adopt that model. I hope you understand me. They wanted to know what was responsible for the change so that in the group they will be able to apply the principle. And they came up with one major result. Well, they believe that somebody drove that transformation, and in every area of life somebody has to drive it. If there's no one to drive, nothing will happen. And you are also the driver of your life. So if you don't drive it, nothing will happen. I hope you understand that principle. Now, but they came with a finding that communication played a major role in the transformation that happened. Transformation within the system. Communication within the system and communication outside. If you follow the story very well, I said I tried to persuade people within the system, starting from the deputy MD, to say it is impossible to change what the company wanted to do so that they won't shut down. I was able to persuade them, okay, let's assume they are going to close, but let's work as if they are not going to close. And I got people to embrace that idea, and we started to work, and results started to come. Now, apart from internal communication, it was discovered that the communication outside helped the system. Now, at that time, our company, Baco, was the biggest sax manufacturing company, not only in Nigeria, but in West African sub-region, with plants in Lagos and Kano. Now, the people before me were going outside to the customers to say, well, we're the biggest, you better buy from us. If not, you won't enjoy quality, you won't enjoy continuity in business. They were proud. But unknown to me, I started to communicate in a different way, because I didn't read beyond history, but I read books, developed myself in strategic communication, strategic, interpersonal relationship in business. And in that knowledge, you will show how your product, and prove it, that is better than competitors' product. Why not, rejecting or talking rubbish about your competitor's product? Is somebody listening to me? I applied it. When I went to the market or companies to sell, and they will bring competitors' product, I say, yes, they are very good. Oh, they are very good. But the advantage of mine is that we have raw materials 24/7. And that was the truth. Some companies, they will almost run out of materials. They will not produce for a week or two, but we had raw materials to run throughout the year. Then the second point, I said, if, for instance, something happened and one of the plants, had emergency, maybe fire incident or a force majeure, anything that will interrupt production, the other plant will produce, which was an advantage over every other plant. Are you getting my point? So I also presented that. And I would tell customers that if plant A is shut down, the other one will produce, and I will deliver free of charge, no transport cost. So that gave us an edge in the market. I was able to communicate the superiority of our production line and our services to the market. So it was found out that communication played a great role in the transformation that happened in Kano, where I was posted to. Are you with me? So just like it happened in my own case with the company that I worked for, communication will help you to be able to cause transformation. If you don't know how to communicate, one thing you discover is that it will appear as if everybody hates you. Have you noticed that in some people? If they stay in Lagos and they move to Kano and from there to Port Harcourt, the same thing, they will feel hated. One major problem the person has is communication. Once you lack ability to communicate in a proper way, you have problem with people. And you may say you are saying the truth. It's because you are saying the truth, that's why they hate you, or some mundane reasons, some unreasonable reasons. If you check the way you communicate and correct it, you will endear yourself to people. You have people to follow you. Ability to communicate in a good way, established manners, will help us to be able to advance in life. Without communication, however intelligent you are, you can't advance in life, and that's why communication is important. And the word communication is derived from the Latin word communicare. The origin of communication is not English, it's Latin. As pronounced is communicare, and it means to share or to make common. What is not known, you share it. You make it common to everybody. That is simply what communication means. To share or to make common. Now, remember, we are dealing with the laws of communication. But before we go into the laws of communication, I want to tell you briefly about the elements, the components of communication, so that you know that communication is important and it has elements. It has some important components. They make up. You understand what communication is once we know the composition or the elements. One of the key components of communication is what you call process. There's a process of communication. The process is about its dynamism. It's dynamic. It's not static. Communication is not one way. Communication has variableness. It has different perspectives. Communication is not one way. It's not one shade. It's not one color. It's varying. It's dynamic in nature. So that is what we call process. For instance, do you know that some people will be speaking in the language that you know? They'll be talking and you don't know what they're saying. I don't know whether you have experienced it before. Some people can speak Yoruba and you are a Yoruba person, but you don't understand what they are saying. That is the process. Have you also seen some English people, English men or women, talking to one another or each other, and you understand English, but what they are saying you don't understand? Another way I would also describe it, an aspect of this process, is if a husband and wife are talking and somebody suddenly comes in, if it's something that is meant to be exclusive, there's a way they can change the topic so that you don't know what they are saying. That is still the process. Last week there were two sisters speaking, and they were speaking in hushed tone, and I picked some words, but immediately I approached the place, they changed and they were speaking loud. They thought I'm empty. They changed the topic. The words that I heard before were different from what they were communicating loudly. They were speaking quietly before, but as I approached, they started to talk loud, and they were cooperating with each other. I hope you understand. To them, they wanted to persuade me that this is what they are talking, but I knew that they were saying something different. So you can see communication is very dynamic. So that is the element, one of the elements of communication, and you have to understand it. And the more you understand that process, the more you understand the dynamism in it, that it can vary, it can change, the better you know how to communicate. Are we together? Now, another element of composition of understanding communication is understanding. What is communicated and how you perceive it, how you interpret, and how you relate it to situations around you, your perception to it, your interpretation. And when you are being told something, you draw images in your mind. You try to localize it. Let me give you an example. When somebody is speaking with you from maybe US or from any country or from the village, subconsciously you place that person in a particular house. You have an image of the environment where the person is speaking from. Does it happen to you? It's because you are bringing the communication home to you. You are building understanding from your own stand, from your own standpoint. You localize it to your understanding. Now, what I'm saying now, what we are sharing, everybody has a peculiar perception to it. The way somebody will understand it will be different from the way another person will understand it. That is the element of communication, understanding. Then another composite part is sharing. When we talk of sharing in communication, we are talking about conveying your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, your insights to others. There is what we call interpersonal sharing, that is to share with somebody. There is also what we call intrapersonal sharing. I hope you are with me. When you share with somebody an insight, a feeling, you are not communicating general thing. You are communicating something that is peculiar. You are communicating a feeling. I feel the way things are in Nigeria in the next 2 weeks is going to be great. I feel, you are communicating something that you may not even be able to prove, but you are communicating it through your feelings. You express your feelings, your thoughts. It's an aspect of communication. Then you can also do intrapersonal communication. For instance, you stay mute for a while, maybe before you sleep, and you think about something you think you didn't understand before, but after you have pondered over that thing for a while, there's illumination in your heart, and you understand it better than when you started to ponder over it. That is intrapersonal communication. Then you now, yes, I understand it now. That is sharing. You are sharing within yourself. Are you with me? All right, thank you. Then lastly, we have the meaning, which is another aspect of the elements, the meaning. That is what we decode and share. How do you decode what is communicated? How do you decode it? How do you interpret it? The deeper interpretation of what is said. There's ephemeral interpretation. For instance, somebody will say, oh, go and do this thing. Somebody say, I will do it. The way the person says it, I will do it, does not mean that he will do it. I hope you understand. You may say, okay, I will do it. And you know that he will not do it. You are to decode the meaning by not just the expression, but the body language. The way it is expressed. You get meaning out of it. So when we talk about communication and we don't talk about this aspect of communication, we will not comprehend what communication is. And please let me reemphasize that communication is extremely important, and you must develop the ability to communicate, especially in public. Let me encourage you that if you find it difficult to communicate, you have to take immediate steps. There's no way you can advance in life without ability to communicate in the public. And I've given you the key to it. You take a cue from it. If you have a captive audience, your immediate family, you can use that to communicate and improve your ability to speak. If you do it every day, within a month, you will develop that ability. Now, if you come to the public, it's possible that your heart will still be pounding, but that will change with time. You face embarrassment, but after some time, you'll be able to speak. There's none of us here who is speaking that did not have that challenge. The first time I was given mic, I was looking down. Or I will come up and say, everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes, just focus on God. Trying to build confidence. So, and people that know the problem of the speaker will open their eyes and say, I know your weakness. Don't ask me to close my eyes. I know you are trying to encourage yourself. So, we just have to develop. Hallelujah. Now, there are 3 laws of communication. This is where we're going. Do you know why people fight and disagree and shout and, having no solution, and eventually they say, oh, we can't be together? The only problem is communication. Communication. There are established laws and principles to guide everything on earth, some yet to be discovered. And so once we follow the principles, things will work well. Now, especially in a home where husbands and wives are having crisis, a major problem is communication. And if you also consider the aspects of the components, if 2 people will understand the components of communication and the laws of communication, there will not be crisis. Now, the first law of communication was confirmed by a professor, a lady professor, Tali Sharot. Tali Sharot was a professor of cognitive neuroscience Neuroscience deals with your nervous system. And being cognitive, the way it works with the responses of your brain. Tali Sharot did a very well-researched study and came up with the results that when two people disagree, it is because the brain of one or two of them were frozen and were shut up to communication owing to disagreement. Now, and she found out, herself and the team discovered that if there's a disagreement between two people, and if they decide to reconcile or start from the point of view of understanding, she called it understanding on a particular valuation, and you don't start with a rejection or negative statement. For instance, when you are arguing with somebody, you're having a discussion, and you start with say you are dead wrong. You don't know what you're saying. You don't have a point. Once you start with this, you have shut the brain of the other party, and you have cut off communication. You will keep on having misunderstanding. Now, that study shows that when you start from a common ground of understanding, for instance, you tell the person that, oh, in this respect, you have a valid point. Now, the study shows that the brain will be lit and open to communication. I hope you know the difference. Oh, you have a point in this respect. You know you are going to condemn the greater part of the points of the person, but there's a common ground to agree. That will light up the brain of the person and open it. But once you start with you are dead wrong, your point is foolish, you don't know what you are talking about, you have shut the brain of the person to the argument. Now, the study also shows that you may not communicate it, you may not say it, but when somebody is talking to you and you are saying you are making jest of the person already, it means you are saying all you are about to say is rubbish. You have shut the brain, so there won't be agreement. Now, not only are you wasting your time, you are closing the door against possible communication inputs of value from the other party. Now, if it is somebody that you still have value for, you know that this person is going to generate a result that will help you. Now, the best way is to find a common ground of understanding and start your argument from there. It means recognize where you have common ground of understanding. If there's an issue, there will be other aspects of the issue that you can break into bits. Pick a particular area that you have common understanding. I hope you are with me. Start from there. Okay, you are relocating to Lagos. That is the problem. Lagos is very good. People make it in Lagos. Once you start from there, and the person is going to Lagos, but you disagree. Before you start to spell out reasons why you don't want the person to go to Lagos. But if you make the reason you want to you don't want the person to go to Lagos, the point of major agreement to start with, then you can't have the attention of the person. I hope you are with me. Start from the common ground of understanding. Okay, I know we have wronged each other. I know I've acted stupidly. And I know you have done some things wrongly. The attention of the person will come down and will be ready to listen. But if you are saying, oh, you are crazy, you are stubborn, without starting from common ground, then you shut the brain. Now, the brain works according to the nervous system, and its responses are determined by what it is said, what comes in. So the nervous system will respond to it. So once you start with negativity, you shut it, and disagreement will continue. That's why some people, when they disagree, they say they can never agree, because no one is identifying a common ground of understanding. Now, if you want to resolve matter between two people, the best way to go is to start from where? Common ground of what? Of understanding. If you don't start from there, there's no way you can reconcile. If you say, oh, marriage, husband and wife, you start from, is marriage good? It's good. You are this, you are that. You let them know what common grounds they have. Two people see each other as a piece of nonsense, and you establish in one a value, you establish in the other a value. You pick good thing concerning this person. Oh, this person, he doesn't lie, he's a very good person. And this person, you are very passionate about this relationship. As you are speaking that, as you are saying the things that they have in common that are good, you see that the tempo of their system will start to come down. Then they will listen. But if you don't start from there, the other one this one will go like this, the other one will go like this. The way to pull them together is to start from this common ground of what? Understanding. You can see that communication is good. So that is the first law. Very, very important law. That in every communication, you must find a common ground of what? Of understanding. Then you can now use that as platform to resolve differences. It's just like a plane. If a plane is going to fly, there must be a place that is going to take off. You don't take off from the air. You take off from where? The ground. Oh my God. Time is... Okay. Let me quickly... The second law, the second and the third law was enunciated by a woman, also a renowned coach in art of speaking and communication. Her name is Julian Treasure. Very renowned. And she came up with two laws. And one says that you must first be eager to listen. You must first be eager to listen to the other party so that the party will feel heard. In other words, when somebody is speaking, keep quiet and give attention. Let the person speak. Don't look away as if you are not ready to listen. If not, you shut the brain of the person. You must cultivate the habit of what? Listening in the way that the person will feel heard. The person will feel that I'm heard. I hope you understand me. Once the person does not feel that is heard, you are not communicating. In other words, even if you have opposition to what the person is going to say, give attention to show that you are listening to what the person is saying, however nonsensical. You'll be able to pick points from there. That is law 2. The third one, which is like it. Now, you must learn to reply or respond or speak in a way that makes the other party feel understood. Now, if your response does not prove that you make the person to understand, then you have not communicated. When you communicate, you respond, you give a reply, or you say something concerning an issue between you and somebody, your response must make the other party to feel that he understands. If not, you have not communicated, you have just wasted time. In other words, people talk mostly without communication. Talking is not communication. Communication is conveying a purpose. You must fulfill a purpose in your communication. And so these 3 laws guide communication. And in order to be able to influence people, in order to be able to lead people, we must imbibe these laws so that the brains of people will be lit. Now, when you have problem with majority of people or many people around you, it shows lack of communication, and it shows that you are not going with the principles of communication. You don't know the components of communication. Once you distill these principles or the laws into your communication, that will help you to be able to communicate. Most homes are in crisis because of communication. You must control your emotion to listen. And when you speak from the point of understanding first before you express your other variables, your other points. And when you respond, make sure that your reply makes the other person to know that you understand his point. I hope you understand me. God help us in the mighty name of Jesus. God bless you.
Thank you for listening to this message. If you would like to fellowship with us, join us for any of these services. On Sundays, for the Christ celebration services at 8 a.m. Our Thanksgiving services come up on the last Sunday of every month at the same time. Tuesdays, the Wholesome Word at 6 p.m. And on Thursdays, we have prayer meetings at 6 p.m. Fire prayers come up every first and third Saturday of every month. Our church is located at WCCI Junction off Alafin Avenue, Oluyole Estate, Ibadan. You can connect with us live via our live streaming platforms, facebook.com/WCCI Ibadan, www.youtube.com/@wordchambers9787 and WCCI Ibadan on Mixler. You can also visit our website www.wordchambers.org and our Instagram page at WCCI Ibadan. Word Chambers Church International, turning destinies around with the Word.